Hello everyone, this is Ben from VGBlaster, and today I'll be giving you my Dragonic Blademaster deck profile. So this is with the new support we recently got in G-BT07 for this deck. So jumping straight into it, our starting Vanguard is Dragon Knight Sigeth? I think is how you say it. His skill is when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to an effect from one of your cards. If you have a Cairo Vanguard, you may put this unit into your soul. If you do, your opponent chooses one of their rearguards and retires it. So it's basically a free retire. This deck retires a lot. It's basically its main gimmick. So this is just basically a free one extra. He's also just a good 5k base. You can run the grade 3 searcher to kind of optimise getting your Blademaster or and do the grade 3 run. But he's their 4k base, which sometimes stops you hitting good numbers, so I prefer this card just for that as well. So for grade 3s, we run 4 Dragonic Blademaster. His first skill is Dragonic Blademaster 2. During your turn, if the number of rear guards you have is more than your opponent, it has to be more than, this unit gets plus 5,000 power and 1 critical. So, like, not a terrible skill, it's passive. You don't have to pay a cost or anything, and it's just during your turn, so at any point as soon as you have more rear guards than your opponent, it gains the crit and power. So it's just if you can't stride or late game you think the extra critical is really gonna clench it for you, it's very good. The 500 also helps you hit some numbers. And his secondary skill is +1 during your turn. When your unit strides onto this card, and pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So there's no restriction to what you retire there. 20 stride, +1, kill something. I actually don't use that skill a lot because a lot of the rear guards and strides do kind of the big retiring, but it's nice to have if you're against like a Gold Paladin or a Royal Paladin. Neo Nectar, if they can consistently keep filling the field back up, it's just kind of good to have. So our secondary grade 3 will be Dragonic Overlord the Legend. Really solid unit, really good backup if you don't get into your Blademaster. If you don't know what this card does, once per turn, Dragonic Blademaster 2, +1, and choose a grade 3 or greater Flame Dragon from your hand and discard it. And to the end of turn, this unit gets plus 15,000 power, grade +1, drive +1, and auto. Once per turn, choose 3 cards from your hand and discard them. At the end of battle, this unit attacked a rearguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit. So it's the Overlord skill. If it attacks a rearguard, restand it. It's also obviously triple drive on both attacks, so you get 6 drive checks, which is always very good. Also obviously pretty much guaranteed to kill an opponent's front row, because they're not going to guard it because it doesn't have to hit to activate his skill. So just a very solid backup grade 3, very powerful. And it has a secondary effect of +1 and Soul-Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you pay the cost. If you do, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, search up to 1 Flame Dragon from among them, reveal it to your opponent and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this just increases your hand. Most of the cards in this deck are Flame Dragons, so you can really kind of find, like, if you're missing a Blademaster that you want, or you know, any kind of grade 2s or perfect guards or anything. The heal trigger running this deck is Flame Dragon as well. If you're desperate to G-guard early, you can do that. So yeah, he's a very versatile card, very good as a backup grade 3. So moving on to grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Radiant Dragon. His skill is +1, Soul-Blast 1. When this unit is placed on rearguard, if you have a Vanguard with Dragonic Blademaster in its card name, so that's either grade 3 or your Stride, the Titan, you pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rearguard, grade 1 or less rearguards and retire it. And to the end of turn, this unit gets plus 2,000 power and a continuous skill of, if your Vanguard is blazing, this unit gets plus 2,000 power for each of your opponent's open rearguard circles. So that's a Narukami effect that they've kind of stole, but it's very good for this card. This card is really a key grade 2 because it really hits some big numbers, especially with some of the grade 1s you run, which I'll go into later. So usually with this card, like especially early game when your opponents don't have that many rear guards, you can just throw him down if they just have the 4 or now or 1 or 2, and then if you stride you can kill something else. And you know, he's 21k by himself, and then throw a booster down as well, you can easily make it over 21k, which just puts a lot of pressure on early, for then later game when you start putting your crits in, it's really hard for your opponent to defend against, so he's a very good card. Also the retire as well is always good. Next, for grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Twilight Arrow Dragon. 4 copies of him is just a preference for me at the minute, because he's very good if you say you can't stride and you really want to get Dragonic Blademaster's GB2 skill off. He's good to kind of help that out. And once again, if you're against a paladin or a rearguard focused deck, just the extra retires can always help. If you know what his skill is, it's Generous Break 1. Counterblast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard boosted, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards and retire it. So you can knock this down to 3 if you want, or even 2 and put something else in. There's the grade 2 guard restriction card from G-BT07, I believe. I've forgotten his name, I don't run him in this deck. But he's also could be a good alternative. But I just like Twilight Arrow Dragon for the reasons I stated. And finally for grade 2s, we run 3 Dragon Knight Nadim. So this card has the Blaze ability. It's the first card we come to in this profile that has the Blaze ability. If you don't know what it is, as long as a card on the field has, so if it was just him, even if your Vanguard doesn't have it, it's going to activate at the beginning of each of your attacks. If you have more rear guards than your opponent, your Vanguard becomes blazing until the end of turn. So like I said, if you just have like 1 copy from out the field, nothing else has blaze on the field, your Vanguard will become blaze anytime you prepare for an attack and you have more rear guards than your opponent. So his skill is when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is blazing, this unit gets plus 2000 power. That isn't GB restricted at all, so you can do that early game if you just happen to throw that down and you have more rear guards on your opponents. He's an 11k attacker. Really good at hitting magic numbers against like a grade 3. And then he also gains a secondary effect of Generous Break 1. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, counter charge 1. So that's always good. It adds pressure to your opponent to guard him as well. Because this deck really can kind of... All the counterblasts are in kind of increments of 1, but you can blow through it really quick if your opponent's filling up their field. So the counter charge is always nice to have. So moving on to grade 1s, I run 4 copies of Protect Orb Dragon. This is a preference from me because he can be searched out from the legend. Because you don't really need the counter charge in this deck. It's always nice to have. Counter charging is always good, but you can run the new Perfect Guard, the Blaze Perfect Guard, if you want that kind of extra power on the back row that's going to bounce back to your hand. I actually don't have 4 copies of that card anyway, so that's why another reason why I want Protect Orb at the minute. I might try out with her when I get 4 copies, but for now, Protect Orb, just because the extra counter charge once again is always nice, and he can be searched out for the legend. Next, we run 4 copies of Lava Flow Dragon. This is your grade 1 that counts as grade 3 when you're paying for the cost to stride. He also has the effect of, when this card's placed on Rearguard Circle, you may reveal a grade 3 in your hand, search your deck for a Dragonic Blademaster, add it to your hand, and then discard a card. So if you're really desperate to want to go to Blademaster, you know you're going to want to be doing a lot of retiring this game, and you've only got the legend in your hand, you can swap it out, or you can have both grade 3s in your hand, so you have the choice. It just helps for a bit more consistency, and then also he's there for helping you stride as well. So next for grade 1s, we run 3 copies of Dragon Monk Gyokyo. Probably not how you say it. So his skill is Generous Break 1. When your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to an effect from one of your cards, this unit gets plus 5000 power until the end of turn. So that effect is stackable. You retire multiple units in a turn, you're going to get multiple plus 5000 powers. So with your Titan, you usually retire in 2 or 3. So, you know, plus 10, plus 15k, you know, you can make him 21 by himself. So he's good just to maybe attack with by himself, or just a really good booster. Once again, like behind Radiant Dragon, as I said before, can make really big numbers that makes even like G-Guardians, it makes it hard for your opponent even if they have a G-Guardian to kind of stop. So yeah, he's very good. And finally for grade 1s, I run 3 copies of Dragon Knight Nadel. He has the Blaze ability, and his other effect is once per turn, when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to an effect from one of your cards, if you have a Vanguard with Dragonic Blademaster in its card name, once again you grade 3 or you stride. Until the end of the turn, this unit gets, when your Vanguard becomes blazing, counter charge 1, and this unit gets plus 4000 power until the end of turn. So as soon as it becomes blazing, you get the counter charge, and then he's an 11k booster or attacker. So helps with magic numbers, keeps your counterblast open, or it's just, you know, good boost. Very good. Obviously this deck retires a lot, so it's not hard to get that skill off. It also makes like Twilight Arrow Dragon free. It kind of replaces the counterblast from Radiant Dragon, Once again, this card is good behind Raging Dragon, makes it 21k if your opponent isn't, you've emptied your opponent's field. Just a very versatile and good card to have. So for triggers, we will run 8 critical, including the Heart Thump clone for Dragonic Blademaster, which is a normal skill of you can, when your Vanguard attacks, you put this unit into your soul. That Vanguard gets plus 5,000 power and you get to draw a card. So that also is very good with just your grade 3 Dragonic Blademaster. If you just want to get his GB2 skill off, makes him 21k to crit by himself. Always good to have. And next we run 4 draws. Gatling Claw Dragon. If you run draw triggers in Kagero, there should always be a draw trigger as far as I'm concerned. His skills can't +1 and put this unit into your soul. If you have a Kagero Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's grade 0 rear guards and retire it. So this really just, especially if you get it early game, just kills annoying forerunners that you don't want to deal with. Like, especially ones from things like Aquaforce or Neonectar, things like that. Just really helps get rid of them early game. Can give you the Blaze ability early as well for your Dragon Knight Nadim. So yeah, it's a good card to have. And finally for heals, I use Seal Dragon Shirting because it's the only Flame Dragon heal trigger I have 4 of. So that's just what I run. As I mentioned before, if you have the Legend and you want to maybe Generation Guard early so you can get GBT2 skills off, or you can just go straight into Titan as your first stride, it's just a good option to have. So yeah, that's why I run that. So moving on to strides. For first, to start, we run 1 copy of Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Vortex Desire. So his skill is choose face down card from your G-Zone and turn it face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost if you do until the end of that battle. This unit gets an auto skill of when this unit's attack hits. For each of your Flame Dragon on your Vanguard circle, choose up to one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards and retire it. So I don't run Legion in this deck, so this unit is always going to retire 2 units on hit. He is mostly there as your first stride for setup because you're going to flip a Titan usually to set up for your next turn. It's always good as well. It's good pressure for your opponent, especially if they've committed to the board early. You can kind of quell that rush, or just force them to use a little guard. So it's a good card to have. And once again, as I said, it's set up for our next stride, which is Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon Dragonic Blademaster Titan. So his skill is he has the Blaze ability, and once per turn, Generation Break 2, can't +1, choose a face down card from your G-Zone and turn it face up. Choose up to the same number of your opponent's rear guards as the number of cards named Supreme, basically himself, face up in your G-Zone, and retire them. And until the end of turn, this unit gets a continuous skill of, if this unit is blazing, this unit gets +1 critical. So you don't have to persona flip him for his skill, but you get the more face-up copies of him there are in the G-Zone, the more retires you're going to get. So as I said, if you go into your Vortex Desire first, flip one, go into another one, flip your third, so you're going to get 2 retires, and most likely at that point you're going to get your critical, unless they've got like a load of resist units or something stupid. But yeah, so that's why we run Vortex to help set that up. And then your third copy, because you can flip anything, you can just use another card in your G-Zone or a G-Guardian if you know you're going to use it or something like that. So Titan's a very good card, puts a lot of pressure onto your opponent, and you can kind of kill your opponent really early in this deck with that, especially with like your rear guards hitting big numbers as well. So next we run 1 copy of Flame Dragon Emperor King Irresist Dragon. This is mainly used as if you go into your second Titan stride, is just there to kind of be flipped, or if for some reason you're against a deck that has a lot of resist cards, he's there. He's usable. It doesn't have to be Irresist Dragon this can be like Mahmood or anything that doesn't need to flip something. It's just there that's gonna, so say if you flipped like you like Express, like you can't use your other copy because we really run 2 in this. So that's why Irresist Dragon's there. It's just a card that you can use and doesn't need to flip anything, but is mostly there just as fodder. So next, as you saw, we run 2 copies of Transcendence Divine Dragon Nouvelle Vague L'Express. His skill is once per turn, Generation Break 2, can't +1 and choose a face down copy of himself and turn it face up. Until the end of turn, this unit gets, during the battle that this unit attacks a Vanguard, your opponent cannot call grade 1s from hand to Guardian Circle, and a continuous skill of during your turn, if the number of cards in your opponent's damage zone is 5 or more, your opponent's trigger effects are nullified. So when he attacks, can't plus 1 persona flip, your opponent cannot use grade 1s to guard, so basically he just stops perfect guards, and they basically cannot miracle heal. So this is a very good finisher card, very good if they're at 4 damage and maybe you know they have a perfect guard, you just swing with this and hope to hit a crit on your drive checks. I run it at 2 because I'm just trying to test out some other strides at the minute. You can run it at 4 because the next 4 strides are kind of dealer's choice. This is just what I'm running at the minute. You can play around with them really, because a lot of people do run 4 Nuva Varg, just 'cause it is that good finisher, especially if they're at 5 damage as well. It's really hard to stop. So next I run 2 copies of Flame Emperor Dragon King Root Flare Dragon. His skill is basically Generous Pick 2, G Persona Flip, and choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire all rear guards in the same column as that unit. So this just basically kills a column for free essentially. If say you're against like something like Mega Colony or Link Joker and your rear guards have been locked, or you don't have a big presence, maybe you nearly have a perfect guard and it's too early to go into Nuva Varg, and so your Titan crit's not going to do anything. This card is kind of just there as a cost you're going to get for free, you're minusing your opponent, and then maybe you're going to force that perfect guard now, so then you can use your crits or your Varg later in the game. It's also good against cards with resist that you really don't want to get rid of. So, because obviously if the resist cards in, so say resist cards in one column and it has another rear guard behind it that doesn't have resist, you can choose that unit, and because his skills will not technically target the other one, you'll retire that resist unit. So he is just his kind of versatility. He's got as kind of an early game alternative. And finally, the last 2 spot I'm not 100% sure on yet. It's 2 copies of the Ace, just because I run the Legend and I'd rather have the choice. I'd rather have him there. I'd rather not like be on the Legend and have maybe another copy in hand and think I really wish I had the Ace in this situation. So he's just there for that. If I have to GSST, he's basically the card that gets chucked out. Sorry. Basically, if you don't know what he does, his skill is Can't Blast 2 and G Persona Flip him. It's also a GB2 skill. During your turn, this unit gets Drive -1, but the auto skill of once per turn. Choose a card from your hand and discard it, and then choose a card with Overlord from your hand and discard it. At the end of battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit and it gets plus 5,000 power until the end of turn. So it's a restanding Vanguard, it goes down to Twin Drive, but it's not that important. You usually pretty much swing in for 26 and 31 minimum. You can really put a lot of pressure on, you get the 4 drive checks to either stick onto him or stick onto rear guards. And like I said, he's too good of a card for me to be in a situation where I wish I was running him, so that's why I do. If that's not ideal for you, you may be thinking of knocking one of your other grade 4s up to 4 copies, or maybe running something else, that's fine, but this is just kind of my choice at the minute for this deck. So finally we'll go into our G-Guardians. I run 2 copies of Flame Dragon Emperor King Abyssal Orb Dragon. His skill is basically, when he's placed on Guardian Circle, if your opponent doesn't have a full field, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So especially against this deck, that's rare, unless you're against Gold Paladins. So he's very good for that. Just generally a big guard. He basically makes your 10k guard become 20k guard pretty easily. And finally we run 2 copies of Flame Wing Steel Beast Denial Griffin. So this is the new G-Guardian. If you don't know what its skill is, it's Can't Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's attacking rear guards and retire it. So bye bye Silent Tom, bye bye any kind of rear guard restrictors, any big numbered rear guards. So Zanza swinging for his first attack. See you later. This card just instantly kills them, doesn't matter how powerful they are, doesn't matter what they say about guard restriction, as of now, until something comes that stops G-Guardians. But yeah, this just flat out says no thank you. It can like kill any Nova Grappler and Aquaforce turns. Gold Paladins, when they go for Gurgwit, if they have something big, they attack first, and they're kind of hoping to hit the stand triggers or something like that. Just kill it outright. You don't need to drop any more guard. It's a very good card. You can up this to 3 and maybe knock something else in your G zone down. It doesn't have to be with a G Guardian. Just to kind of optimise it, because it is that good of a card. And finally, if you're wondering why I don't run Defeat Flare Dragon, because that card is very situational in a deck that's focused on Overload. I know you only need the Vanguard, it doesn't matter what grade 3s you put back in the decks, this for Flame Dragons, but I find it too situational. I never use it in this deck, so I don't bother. If you if you think you are going to use it more because you do have the Legend, the options there, for the same reason I run the Ace, some people might be thinking of like that, you can run Defeat Flare, that's fine, but I find I never used him in this deck, so I didn't put him in. So yeah, that has been my deck profile for my Dragonic Blademaster deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment and subscribe if you can, please. If you think there's any different ways you'd build it, let me know in the comments. I love having discussions with you guys about deck builds and stuff. It's always good. It also kind of fuels improvement in terms of deck building, both for me and other people. I always like to help out. So yeah, don't be afraid to give me any suggestions. So like I said, hope you enjoyed. I will be back soon. Hopefully I'll get a game filmed with this, so you can see it in action. And I will try and get some more deck profiles done and things like that. So look forward to them. This has been Ben from VGBlaster, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.